Vindication, victory. 2 words to describe 2 happy endings for 2 very deserving people. Night after night on this program, we make one plea, one request for people in power to do the obvious. And so tonight, I'm happy to report not 1, but 2 examples of our authorities using some Canadian common sense. Vindication for Toronto Chinatown grocer David Chen, a small businessman, entrepreneur, owner of the Lucky Moose Food Mart, a hardworking Canadian trying to protect his hard-earned property. Tired of the serial shoplifter who could attack local stores and disappear long before authorities ever arrived. A pariah for local small businesses, no better than a rat in a granary. And so David Chen had enough, grabbing the thief, tying him with twine, holding him in a delivery van until cops could get there. You can imagine the relief and hope of getting this louse out of your hair. And you can imagine Chen's surprise finding that he himself ends up getting charged for the incident, for taking the law into his own hands and catching the thief. You can imagine the insult and further injury of having the Crown use the thief as a witness against you, having the very government that's supposed to protect you give the serial thief plea bargaining, reduce charges to testify against David Chen himself. A very low point for both David Chen and true justice and Canadian common sense. But that's all in the past now. It's in the rearview mirror. Just 3 years ago, David Chen was a victim of both a serial thief and our misguided and hyperactive justice system. But since then, Chen has been cleared of all charges. He's become a recognized hero. He's met with the Prime Minister multiple times, becoming the inspiration for the citizens arrest law, empowering private citizens to arrest the suspect when caught red-handed within a reasonable time afterwards when the police simply can't help in a timely fashion, giving ordinary people the power to protect themselves, their families, their property. As Justice Minister Rob Nicholson says, victims of crime should not be re-victimized by the criminal justice system. Amen. Now, as a further act of national gratitude, vindication for a humble hero. Later this week, David Chen receives the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Award for, quote, making a significant contribution to Canada. Bravo for David Chen. Citizens of Adler Nation salute you and the use of some Canadian common sense. Now, there was another victory for Canadian common sense this past week. A story about another average Canadian who did the extraordinary, to protect his life and property. I'm talking about Ian Thomson, another hero who became both a victim of a home invasion and the criminal justice system. Ian Thomson, who was jolted awake at 6:30 in the morning at his secluded rural Ontario farmhouse, the subject of a firebombing attack by 3 masked men, bellowing threats like, "Are you ready to die?" With no hope of a timely response by the police, this licensed firearms instructor used his legal gun to fire warning shots at his attackers, not to kill, but to scare them off. After calling 911 and waiting over 10 minutes for them to arrive, Thomson received neither help or salvation. He was quickly arrested for 4 gun-related charges. The Crown eager to send a message discouraging even legal gun owners that they shouldn't be defending themselves, even under the most dire of circumstances. So here's what Ian Thomson had to say about his experience on Brian Lilley's byline late last week.
I wasn't surprised in the least. I knew that as soon as I used the firearm to protect my life, that charges would be laid. That's the typical process that goes on in this country. The Crown seemed to have an agenda to make an example of me that would put the fear into every firearms owner in Canada that you are not allowed to defend your life under such circumstances that I faced that day.
Thankfully, Ian Thomson has been acquitted of all charges. The Crown can still appeal, but a message has been sent here. The experiences of these 2 ordinary Canadians confirms it for everyone, that when you, your family, your property are at risk, it's okay to protect yourself. A lesson that hopefully more criminals will comprehend, that they may be facing a lot more than the authorities the next time they beat someone's door down. We need to send that message out there. It's Canadian common sense.